It's been said that better questions lead us naturally to better answers, and that it's in not knowing that we open the doorway to knowing. I'm Scott Lennox, and you're listening to The Beautiful Question, a consideration of things that truly matter in a complex world. This episode is my 100th Beautiful Question podcast. In preparing it, I looked back at the previous 99 and noticed themes and questions that came out of them. Join me this week as we consider 7 of the most consistent of those themes and 3 thought-provoking questions about each one of them. Though I published over 100 editions of my online newsletter before I began recording them, this episode marks the 100th in my series of Beautiful Question podcasts. Now that may seem a minor milestone to some, yet for me it's a significant one. For the past 2 years, I've kept my word to myself about producing them weekly, and more strongly than ever, I continue in my commitment to engage with you in this way of asking better and better questions about things that impact all of us. As I've written in the past, the initial idea for the Beautiful Question newsletters came about as I pondered how it is that Nobel laureates go about their work, especially as they begin. When I looked deeply into their process, something interesting stood out so strongly that I've woven it into my own way of thinking. For many of the laureates, the beginning of their exploration had much more to do with asking open-ended questions than with heading out in a particular direction as they searched for good answers. In long and lively discussions with colleagues, many of them imposed a limit on themselves, engaging in conversation where only interrogative statements were made. With that limit in place, and no question out of bounds, they responded to one another's questions, as well as to their own, by asking further questions and offering no answers at all. That freed them from the pressure of having to know. What consistently emerged from that form of dialogue was a deepening of inquiry, in which many of the first questions led to deeper and more useful ones, and so on. In some cases, that deepening led to insights and discoveries that would not have been made had the ones asking the questions proceeded in any other way. One of my continuing goals for these Beautiful Question podcasts is to engage in such deepening of ideas that they invite the awareness that can arise spontaneously in each of us because of it. Many of your responses have encouraged me in that regard, as you tell me that you're provoked and stimulated to ask your own meaningful questions, and that you're gaining insight as a result of them. I thank you for that, and I celebrate with you. Going back and reading through all of the scripts for the first 99 episodes, it was easy to identify several consistently recurring themes. Chief among them are the clarity that arises from inner stillness, healthy self-awareness and authenticity, what I call radical self-care, our immutable connection to one another and to the greater whole, our shared responsibility to engaging in right action both internally and externally, the individual and collaborative building of optimism and hope, and finally, the pure joy and wonder of being alive. During my continuing career as a clinician, I've developed a number of personal and professional biases that I have no intention of ever abandoning. These biases have grown naturally and organically out of living with the themes I've just shared with you. The more I sit with people who tell me that they find themselves caught up in the noise of the world and feeling lost, and that they're on their own back burner, if you will, when it comes to self-awareness and self-care, the more strongly I advocate the daily practice of stillness and the mental clarity that will lead us home to our most authentic selves. When that door opens, the rest naturally falls into place. If that door remains closed, how could we possibly serve ourselves or anyone else. We would have neither the focus, nor the energy, nor the desire to serve the greater good. And so, without question, self-awareness and self-care are part of the bedrock of healthy living, a healthy society, and a healthy planet. That said, I believe it'll be more than useful to dive back into the central issues, hopefully asking even better questions about them. And so, in keeping with the practice of some of the Nobel laureates I studied, I present 7 issues and ask 3 questions about each of them, offering neither answers nor discussion. Instead, I'm inviting each of us to explore them on our own. My hope is that still other questions and then more effective answers may arise from them as we continue to engage within ourselves, with one another, and with the world around us. Here then are the issues and my initial questions about them. Number 1, inner stillness. 3 questions. What thoughts, ideas, or actions are currently blocking you from being truly still inside? 2. What simple yet significant personal shift would encourage and allow your own stillness today? And 3. What naturally arises in you as you quiet yourself and listen deeply without self-judgment and without critique? Theme number 2, self-awareness and authenticity. Question 1. Beyond what others have told you or shown you or tried to impose on you, what do you actually know about your most authentic and unchanging self? Question 2. What are the natural traits that have always been in you, that have always been part of you? And question 3. When you stand in your own authority, taking possession of your own life and living it from that place, what naturally happens? Theme number 3, radical self-care. Where and how did you first learn to neglect yourself and defer to others? Question 2. Despite any habit you may have developed of putting everyone else first, what would it look like? What would it feel like to take care of yourself in radically healthy ways? And question 3. How do you feel, and how much more effective are you when you are steadfast about actively meeting your own needs, regardless of any of the outer factors? Theme number 4, interconnection. Question 1. How socially isolated do you feel yourself to be? Question 2. Who has been actively supportive of you, and of whom have you been supportive? And question 3. What things can you do right now to broaden and activate your connection to healthy and supportive others, people who are like you, and supportive people who are not like you? Theme number 5, internal and external right action. Question 1. In both internal and external ways, what would it look like or feel like not only to abstain from what is harmful, but to intentionally engage in what is of the highest good for yourself and others? Let me ask that question again. In both internal and external ways, what would it look like and feel like not only to abstain from what is harmful, but to intentionally engage in what is of the highest good for yourself and others? Question 2. What prevents you from doing that right now? And question 3. What simple changes in your thoughts and actions would promote it and make it a part of your daily life? Theme number 6, building optimism and hope. Question 1. Where outside yourself have you traditionally looked for hope in the past? Question 2. When you take ownership of your own authority and of your ability to learn and grow and change, what things begin to naturally shift, to naturally change in your own life? And question 3. When you collaborate with rationally hopeful others, what happens? And finally, theme number 7, the joy and wonder of being alive. Question 1. When was the last time you found yourself spellbound by what life offers you? Question 2. When you stop and deeply contemplate the miracle of your own existence, what happens? And question 3. What happens when you allow yourself to play, to dance, to think, to dream as openly and freely as a child? As you ponder these questions and your own answers arise in you naturally, please accept my thanks for being with me through these podcasts and for joining me in the process of inquiry and awakening. I remain open to your responses and to your suggestions, and I'm looking forward to sharing the next 100 newsletters and podcasts with you. As I say each week, and I mean it from my heart to yours, my light with your light. Thank you so much for listening. I continue to be inspired by our collaboration as we work and play together, building better lives and better possibilities for ourselves, for one another, for the world, and for our beautiful planet home. As always, I look forward to your comments and to your feedback. You can also be inspired by visiting my good friends at Cosmos Journal, including their online newsletter. That's KOSMOS Journal. Their mission is to inform, inspire, and engage global transformation in harmony with all life. You can easily find them online at cosmosjournal.org. And you can find my free podcasts and guided relaxation audios by searching for the beautiful question in Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud or CastBox, or by visiting the podcast page of my website at scottlennox.com. If you find them useful or encouraging, don't hesitate to share them. I'm Scott Lennox, and this has been The Beautiful Question. The Beautiful Question is a One Light production, written, recorded, and produced by Scott Lennox at Heart Rock Studios in Fort Worth, Texas, as a way of paying forward to life, being fully present, and becoming better engaged with things that truly matter in a complex world.